Starting our news tonight, nearly 4 weeks after an officer-involved shooting in Pender County, the investigation has wrapped up and all charges have been dropped. Well, thanks for joining us tonight for your news at 6. I'm Andrew James. A man who has spent months in jail will now be set free after a court hearing this afternoon, but his family says he shouldn't have been there in the first place. Day 3 of the 9th Congressional District hearing wrapped up with Mark Harris, the next witness to be called come tomorrow. Well, thanks for joining us tonight for your news at 5. I'm Andrew James. Randy Aldridge has the evening off. A staple of downtown Wilmington for 3 decades will soon be just a memory. Starting off our news tonight, it's a first for Pender County. Right now, a presentation is underway to discuss the state of Pender County's economy and education. And you mentioned the redo. That came through from the state legislature. They went through in December to make it so a primary would have to take place, and your whole nuts and bolts with an election should happen here. But let's talk about Mark Harris now. The issues he brought up were significant about his health, and that really driving a force from when he himself said to the board, I think there is a good chance you should call a new election in this. Do you think this new election will involve Mark Harris? Now, just into our Cape Fear CW primetime newsroom, we've learned that Governor Cooper has vetoed the Senate bill known as the Farm Act. And I'm going to read a quick quote from the governor's office out of the statement he made saying, quote, our laws must balance the needs of businesses versus property rights. Bring you guys some breaking news just into the WWI newsroom. We know now a juvenile has been shot in Wilmington. WBD Wilmington police tell us that shooting took place around 5:30 this afternoon. A state trooper responded to a fatal collision on Carolina Beach Road this morning around 4:30 a.m. They say a pedestrian standing in the road was hit by a pickup truck. And unfortunately, you're going to have to take down your tree eventually, if you're like me. But the big thing for folks doing New Year's resolutions, what do you think really works best? Equipment like this where you got a little bit of weight and cardio mixed in with each other, or is it one or the other, cardio or weights? I think that's where a lot of folks probably lose a lot of their focus. Yeah. They're part of the Thalian Association's, correct me if I'm wrong, youth theater production. Yes. So you guys have been working on this show for quite some time. I guess let's go ahead and launch into it. So what has been the process for you guys getting this thing on the stage? A big fat happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to the 5th quarter postseason edition. I'm Andrew James. He's Joe Catanacci. Yes, we're talking playoffs, folks. Hello, everyone. We nominate, you vote, and now it's time for the 5th quarter player of the week. We've already made it through 2 weeks of high school football, and already you guys sent me out to Hoggard.
Do you get her anything for Valentine's Day?
So we actually, you put me on the spot here. We do a lot of stuff that's not really necessarily around that day. We do like weeks of giving and things like that. So we've kind of made it like several weeks out of this month and into our next month where we'll just do gifts for one another. We don't try to all make it on just one day. I'll tell you what, it was so great to walk out of my house today and just get hit with not humid, thick air.
Yep, and tomorrow will be the same way.
Looking forward to it already. Thank you so much, Scott. Well, from a Kids Expo to Comic-Con to concerts, folks, there's lots going on around the Cape Fear this weekend. Helen Holt has a look at what's happening. Well, it's befitting, though, we finished this year.
You know, exactly. I said the same thing earlier with Amanda. We had record rainfall. We're going to look like we're going to end on an unsettled note.
Yeah, keep your rain boots handy, folks. Happy New Year with those. Thank you so much, Scott. Appreciate it very much. Well, the partial government shutdown is in its 5th day, and there's still no sign of movement. And often we see work crews of inmates cleaning debris along roadways. Not often do you think you'd see one do what a trio of inmates did yesterday afternoon in Bladen County when the 3 had a choice, and they chose to save a man's life.
The only thing I can do is try to help.
What was supposed to be a routine roadside litter cleanup
His stomach fell over in the ditch, so I went over to help him up.
turned almost fatal. It was much more than a loss of balance. Sheriff's Office Supervisor James Smith was having a stroke. He's in his 60s, and these 3 inmates had a choice. They chose to help.
Well, if that was my father laying beside the road, I would want somebody to help him instead of running off.
Frank Edens Jr., Roy Williams Smith, and Rosendo Morales Sanchez stayed with Smith. The sheriff's office says instead of making a run for it, the 3 men took his cell phone and they called 911.
These guys right here, my hat's off to them. I mean, they were standing right by, and they had a lot of options to do a lot of different things they wanted to. They could have left or drove the van off or whatever, but they did exactly what they should have done.
The 3 are serving time for misdemeanors. Edens knew Smith for only a couple of months.
I mean, we see no other reason to try to do anything else crazy or outrageous, so why not help him?
Smith now sits in the ICU at Duke Med, while the inmates were recognized for their heroic acts. The sheriff saying this is the first he has ever seen inmates step up to save a life of an officer.
I am so proud of them.
Alongside sheriff's deputies receiving promotions recognized for their work, these men were recognized and honored as well, receiving life-saving awards by the sheriff's office.
At the end of the day, knowing that he's okay, it make you feel better.
And the sheriff adds he's given out 4 life-saving awards in his time at the sheriff's office. 3 of those 4 went to the men today, who very well saved James Smith's life.